So the biggest selling point for this smartwatch is that it costs only $33 on GearBest, and it's also IP68 waterproof. Hey guys, what's up and welcome to Zero Reviews Tech, and this is the No.1 F6 Smartwatch, a full IP68 waterproof smartwatch from No.1, and it's also very cheap. So let's start unboxing this thing. And if you want to see more smartwatches like this, be sure to subscribe so that you can be notified. And this is the smartwatch itself, and let's take it out and see what else we have inside the box. We have a USB cable, and we have a sports smartwatch user manual. And I'm not even going to have to look at it because I know that the app here is going to be the Fundowear smartwatch app on the Google Play Store. And this is multi-language as well, but it's going to be pretty useless. So let's put all this away and look at the smartwatch itself. So the biggest selling point for this smartwatch is that it costs only $33 on GearBest, and it's also IP68 waterproof. So I want to compare this smartwatch to both my Xiaomi watches, and this first here is the Xiaomi Amaze Fit Stratos. So as you can see, the Amaze Fit Stratos is definitely a lot smaller than the No.1 F6. That being said, this smartwatch over here also costs $33, and the Amaze Fit Stratos costs almost $200. So that's almost a six-fold price increase. And next, I want to compare the Amaze Fitbit. Now, the price difference between these smartwatches is definitely a lot smaller. The Amaze Fitbit costs about $67, and the No.1 F6 costs about $30. So it's about twice the price, not as big as the Amaze Fit Stratos I just had. And as you can see, the Amaze Fitbit is a different style of smartwatch. It's more like the Apple Watch versus the rugged smartwatch type for the No.1 F6. Alright, so this smartwatch, the first thing that I really noticed is that this thing is so light. It feels like I'm not even carrying anything in my hands compared to the Amaze Fit Stratos, which definitely does feel heavier than this No.1 F6. The other thing to note is that this smartwatch is really bulky. It's really big, it's really thick. As you can see from this side of the view, this smartwatch is definitely over a centimeter thick if you measure from this metal part all the way to the ridges on the top of the smartwatch itself. To be honest, this smartwatch doesn't really look the greatest, and neither does it feel the greatest as well. The material on the smartwatch here is mostly rubber and plastic, and to be honest, they probably had to do it this way to keep it IP68 waterproof and fairly cheap and light as well. And there are also 4 buttons on the smartwatch. As you can see, there's up, there's down, there's start, and there's stop. And if you look at the bottom of the smartwatch, there are the 2 charging pins as well as the heart rate sensor. And the bottom, it just says made in China, Bluetooth 4.0, heart rate IP68, and it's a smartwatch. And finally, if you look at the wristband, you can see that the rubber on this smartwatch is not the best type of rubber. It's the hard type of rubber that doesn't feel very nice. Definitely does not feel as nice as the softer fluoroelastomer rubber that you find on the Xiaomi Amaze Fits, as well as the Apple Watch. Alright, you guys remember when I said the Xiaomi Amaze Fit Stratos was a really big smartwatch? It is a big smartwatch. Look at how big it is compared to the Amaze Fitbit. But compare it to the No.1 F6 and it's even bigger. The No.1 F6 is so bulky on my wrist that there is absolutely no way I'm wearing this on a daily basis. For me, it's still the Amaze Fitbit. That's a good size. The Amaze Fit Stratos is a little bit big, but as you can see, the No.1 F6 is just way too big for my wrist. So I'm going to put that aside so you can see that the smartwatch is on my wrist in isolation. And yeah, it's massive. I mean, if you look at it, it really makes my wrist look really tiny and it just looks really bad. That being said, if you're a bigger person, this watch definitely will fit very nicely on your wrist. I'm just a really small guy and my wrists are really small as well, so this is not really the best fit for me. So let's take a closer look at the smartwatch. These buttons are here for you to navigate through the UI of the smartwatch because this is not a touchscreen. There is only one touch sensitive area on the whole smartwatch itself, and that is these 3 buttons on the bottom over here. So for example, if I turn the screen on, I can touch this button over here and you can see that I'm going through the UI of the smartwatch. But if I touch anywhere else, nothing actually happens. So you can see that there is really only one touch sensitive area on the screen of the smartwatch, and that is this bottom part over here. And that is most likely why this is IP68, because if it was a full touchscreen, I don't think they could have made it so cheap and IP68 as well. And as you can see, this is a pretty crappy screen as well. I think it's a TN, definitely not LCD. As you can see that the refresh rate's pretty bad as well. So let's go through each of the options. You can navigate up and down using these buttons, and you press the start button on the right side to enter. So first you have this, and this would be the setting. And once you're in the settings, you can choose stopwatch, power off, reset, and vision. And vision actually means Bluetooth. They just didn't name it properly. So if you enter it, you can see the Bluetooth, the Vision version, and the name of the smart device, which is literally called smart device. So let's go back and go through more of the options. Here you can choose what different dials you want. You can choose dial 1, dial 4, dial 3, dial 2, and I prefer this one here, so I'm going to pick that one. So let's go through more of the settings, and here is exercise. You can choose between running, football, climbing. Football here means soccer. It doesn't actually mean American football. There's climbing, badminton, which I'm actually going to do tomorrow, so I'm going to wear this. Table tennis, swimming, basketball, cycling. Yeah. So let's keep on going through, and here you can receive messages, and here you can test your heart rate. And you can see that it's detecting my heart rate, about 70 beats per minute. So it does work. So this smartwatch is actually fairly limited in terms of functionality when you compare it to the Amaze Fitbit that I just showed you before. It's going to be a pretty basic smartwatch with pretty basic functionality. If you want to see the full review of the No.1 F6, be sure to subscribe to my channel in order to be notified when the full review is uploaded. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.